Good afternoon to our esteemed guests at the 2023 Teen Panel, to the Honorable Minister of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage, Bernie Bush, Deputy Chief Officer, Dalton Watler, Chairperson of the Child Month Committee, Ms. Genevieve Tomlinson, other DCFS staff, Calvin Duncan and Lydia Watler. Ladies and gentlemen, young people, I am Melanie Bryan-Waugh, head of the Youth Services Unit, and I'm very excited to welcome you to our teen panel this afternoon. Our team panel comprises of two panels, school representatives. Soon we will introduce panel 1 and later panel 2, with support from today's moderators, our CARICOM youth ambassadors, Vanessa Burke and Chad Powell Jr. In light of the 2023 Child Month theme of investing in our children means investing in our future, I encourage each of you to consider our collective responsibility for improving and enhancing the lives of young people across our islands. I thank you for being a part of today's panel as a viewer or a participant. At the Youth Services Unit, we strive to uplift the voice of our youth, to ensure that they are heard as equitable contributors to our country's future. Today, I would also like to extend a special thanks to our partners on the 2023 Child Month Committee from the Department of Children and Family Services and the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage, who support us in these efforts to widen the reach of our youth voices. I will now put you into the capable hands of our CYAs as we explore the theme and insights on investing in our future.
Protocol having been established, thank you, Head of Unit, our audience, and students who have joined us today. My name is Vanessa, and I am your female CARICOM Youth Ambassador.
I am Chad Powell Jr., and I'm your male CARICOM Youth Ambassador.
As CARICOM Youth Ambassadors, we have the distinct pleasure of hosting today's panels.
Yes, especially considering in the publication, Investing in Our Future, a comprehensive agenda for the health and well-being of children and adolescents, the World Health Organization, or WHO, shares 4 guiding principles that broadly determine the health and well-being of youth and adolescents.
So these principles, according to WHO, are 1, the translation of child rights into equitable laws and policies and universal access to evidence-based services for all. 2, meaningful participation of adolescents, their families, and communities in design, implementation, and monitoring of activities for their support and their health and well-being. 3, respectful family, child, and adolescent-centered care and integrated interventions delivered in a high-quality service. And 4, whole of government, whole of society engagement in building enabling environments for children and adolescents to thrive and survive.
All right, so through today's discussion, we'll be discussing the concerns that young people have for their health, their well-being, their future, and their resources, along with how we're going to address these problems coming forward in the future. We'll also learn about the investments that they want to make in creating a better future for the Cayman Islands, especially as our youth are going to be our future. And I will now hand everything over to CYA Burke, our female CARICOM Youth Ambassador, and I'm sure she'll do an amazing job.
Thank you. Please help me in welcoming our first set of panelists. So today we have Roldane Thomas, Atira White, Atira, Logan Wilson, and Michael. I I will be asking a series of questions to our panelists so they can give us their perspective on the topic of investing in our children. After these questions are directed, I will enable other seating panelists to respond if they would like. After the question is answered, the panelists we will move to the next question. So we're going to keep it going. Later in the program, I will hand over back to CYA Powell, and he will be able to moderate the second panel. So let's start our discussion with panel one. Yeah. Okay. So what does the term investing in our youth mean to you? And I will open this starting with you, Raldine.
So, good afternoon. My name is Raldine, as she stated, and the term investing in our youth to me means grooming our future, grooming the youths of the country, providing them with opportunities that will build their character so they are able to return what was given to them in a better way so that they are better citizens of the global community and the Cayman Islands.
Okay. Atira. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Atira White, and the term investing to me means using resources, whether it's resources in money or time, to get a return. So that return would be in, education, employability, health, information, and all of these things would benefit the society. It would increase productivity, it would increase employability, and even help to increase mental health or improve mental health. So yeah.
For me, investing in our youth means investing in resources and time and services that provide our youth with what they need in order to thrive and become their best selves in the future.
So investing in our youth means to intentionally use time, talents, and resources to equip the youth with the skills, competencies, and behaviors, not only for this life, but the life to come, and watch them embrace the positive returns.
So we heard a lot about returns and investing in our youth. What are some of the helpful programs, services, community resources, or initiatives that you have identified that has effectively served Cayman's youth?
So, in my opinion, I am in several service organizations such as the Leo Club, the Youth to Youth. I've participated in the Youth Parliament that just passed, and I'm also a part of the Chamber of Commerce mentorship program, and I believe those are great programs that help to mentor or invest in our youth, as we were speaking about. The Leo Club provides youth with the opportunity to go out and serve the community and give back. The Youth to Youth organization is a drug-free youth club that aims to help it provides a safe space for youth. And Youth Parliament, it allows youth to debate national topics, to get into the process of lawmaking, see the behind the scenes of what happens in the government. And of course, the Chamber of Commerce mentoring, it gives you an insight into the different fields that you're interested in and see what it's like working. So those are several of the organizations that help to invest in our youth.
Thanks, Raldine. Atira, can you tell me how you feel? What are your community initiatives that you feel are investing in you?
Well, the Cadet Corps, for one, is very good because it instills discipline in youth. It helps with life skills, training them to not only think about themselves but others with community service. Another good program is the Duke of Edinburgh program, which I recently completed my silver award and honestly helped with a lot of team management, team working skills, communication skills, leadership. The Cayman Islands Youth Parliament helps you to become future politicians, help with the public speaking and so forth. So yeah, those are a couple of them.
Yeah. So in my opinion, a program that I've identified as helpful to our youth would be the Cayman Arts Festival. I think it's good that it exposes our youth to the creative arts and different career paths whilst allowing them to showcase their talents. I also thought the Alex Panton Foundation was a great example I think it's great that they are helping to spread awareness and support young people and their mental health.
Thank you, Logan. And I will now ask Michael.
So we have the Pathfinder Club, which is a club in the Adventist Church. It teaches about current events, life skills, community outreach, moral values, and survival skills. Also, it helps you to build a bit of confidence. We also have the Cayman Youth Cricket Academy. Other than teaching us how to play a bit of cricket, equip our skills in cricket, it helps us to build teamwork attributes that can help us in the work field.
We heard a wide range of initiatives that have helped you guys to feel like you're invested in. I'll now open this question up. What are the areas that you feel need improving, and what are some different solutions that you can propose to invest in Cayman's youth?
So I believe that there should be more youth programs that provide a safe space for youths to have clean, safe fun to keep them away from getting in danger, such as drugs, sexual activities, high-risk activities, drugs and sexual activities. So it's basically a safe space that is created like the Youth Club, but more clubs like that should be opened so that they have a safe space to be safe.
Got you. I was passing over to Michael. I know that's new, but tell me, how do you feel? Like, what gaps are there?
A vocational training center can be developed so that youth may be able to develop skills and talents, and especially those who may not be so academically inclined, so that they may equip a talent, equip a skill, so that as they go into the work field, they may have a way to get a source of income.
Logan, can you tell us what gaps you feel there are?
I think I agree with Michael. And additionally, I think that youth should have an opportunity to develop their working skills, like in the professional working world, a program that's dedicated to promoting and teaching like people skills, social skills. I think that would.
And Atira?
So I agree with both Logan and Michael. With the vocational training skills, we need welders, plumbers, electricians, radiographers, and all those type of things. And also mental health facilities, like, those are important because a lot of young people deal with mental health issues. And also target, dysfunctional families, families who parents might need parental classes at school and so forth. So, yeah.
Thank you. I think our leaders will be nice. It would be nice for them to hear the solutions you have proposed. One of the topics that most young people are considering is housing. How they feel about the thoughts and initiatives that are behind promoting housing in Cayman and investing in the livelihood of where young people live. So I want to start with Atira. Tell us, how do you feel about housing in Cayman?
Okay, so for one, I would say there should be a special fixed rate on mortgages, which would allow Caymanians to borrow money and so forth. Continued stamp duty assistance, and I feel like the government should invest in more affordable housing for Caymanians, and maybe even have land allotted for just Caymanians.
Logan?
For me, I think that we should be educating young people on financial literacy, so that we can have a better understanding of the general steps we can take in the future to be able to own our own house.
And Raldane, I would like to hear from you. How do you feel about housing in Cayman? What initiatives are in place or should be in place to help Caymanians' livelihoods?
So I agree with what Atira and Logan said. Financial literacy. Recently at John Gray, Cayman National partnered with John Gray to host a financial literacy session that opened up the opportunity for students to open bank accounts and learn how to save. So that is a step in the right direction. But I also believe that there should be partnership with banks to help youth to set up saving plans so that they can start saving to pay mortgage in the future from high school. So that is a great way to sort of bridge the gap.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna move into. We've heard some of our panelists mention safe spaces. I would like to hear from Michael and our other two panelists. How do you feel about safe spaces in Cayman? It is a cornerstone of pro-social development, and it is important for our youth to have access to safe spaces that they feel comfortable and avoid situations that may be harmful to them. So, Michael, tell me how you feel about safe spaces.
Yeah. As youth, I must say we have a wide variety of safe spaces, whether it be at school, we can talk to our teachers, our counselors. In the church, we can talk to church members, elders, pastors, and as well as our community. We have police officers and those high people, those people in the parliament. I feel like they could give a good advice and just encourage you along the way.
Nice. Whenever our panelists want to add to safe spaces in Cayman?
Yeah, I agree that there are adequate safe spaces that are provided for us as youths in Cayman. So, as he said, the counselors at our school, church, police officers. We know that the Honorable Minister of Youth, Bernie Bush, is very good with youths. He's a very good person. If you see him, you don't have to be afraid to talk to him because he won't bite. He's a very joyful person to be around. And as I stated earlier, the Youth Club is just a safe space. So we have enough safe spaces.
We have. Thank you. So exercise and affordable food is important to the healthy lifestyle of our youth in Cayman. I would like to ask Atira, how do you feel about do you think that there's sufficient investment in our youth in Cayman when it comes to their health and their well-being?
Okay, so I believe there are various entities that offer, physical exercise, like clubs and sort of those things. You have netball, you have football, you have boxing, swimming, and so forth. But I feel like there should be a direct focus on youth and their dietary needs. For example, as Caribbean people, we love the oxtail filled with oil. We love, plantain and so on. And those things are, high fat, high salt. And I feel like in schools, whether they teach young people how to cook, that could be a hands-on experience. Have a group of children in the class, teach them to make healthy alternatives to, unhealthy foods. You can make zucchini cakes, cauliflower pizzas, cauliflower wings. Everything can be made healthily. So I think, there should be a focus in that manner.
Raldane, do you believe that there's enough avenues and resources and initiatives in general that invest in the youth's well-being in Cayman?
Well, I can speak for the public school sector that the government has recently rolled out the free meals program, and that is a healthy alternative option where we get breakfast, snack, and lunch. It is very healthy. In addition, we have different parks and tracks around the island where we can go and exercise. So there are various options for us to live a healthy lifestyle. But as she said, we could also teach the youth about our living a healthy lifestyle in schools. So yes, there is a balance.
And I would like to open this question to Logan as well. How do you feel?
I completely agree with everyone, especially in the fact that we do have a lot of sports opportunities to maintain our physical health. I also agree that we should be educated more on our diet and our foods in schools.
Thank you. So sometimes we struggle with taking advice, especially from the people that are older than us. How would you advise someone your age? What would be a way you go around asking them to take good advice and to be better students? So I'll ask you all. I'll start with Michael, and then we can move down. Yeah?
So we can't really use the past to judge the future. Everybody makes mistakes, and sometimes we're all guilty of not listening to advice from each other. But we can't push away people. We have to still try and encourage them, try and help them. because we're all human beings and we have to be working together with each other so each of us can be better off.
I think that if somebody isn't really, taking advice from people who have their best interest, perhaps they don't have someone who they fully feel comfortable with or a community they trust. So I would encourage them to go out and seek that kind of help, or even try and be an active listening ear for them too. Yeah.
So I'll repeat the question. Would you feel, or how would you support a pair that is not susceptible to good advice? How would you help them to be more encouraged and to be better listeners and implement the things they've heard? Atira, I'll ask you.
Okay, so I would continue to help them positively. Maybe pick up the phone one day and just call them, have a deep and meaningful conversation with them, help them to try and understand how their actions led to these consequences, and show them how it was negative, and maybe refer them to a trusted adult, some way that, or even give them advice on a form of asset that they can use to help themselves, maybe join a painting club or some way to release stress, I don't know. So, yeah.
Yes, I totally agree with what everyone has said. But the point that Michael said, we can't really use the past to judge the future. I wouldn't say we use the past to judge the future, but we use the past to help us to make better decisions in the future. So instead of beating down on the person, we wouldn't beat down on them. We would use the situation, sit and analyze it, and see how we could have done better at that situation. So we develop analyzing skills to analyze the situations better if anything like that happens again.
Okay, thank you. So what, and I'll ask this question again, you guys can feel free to answer. What government or public sector agencies or resources need to be made more readily available to support the development and success of our youth? So I'll start. Raldane, would you like to go for it? Yeah? Sure.
So we know that at SciFec we have many TVET opportunities to study. We could make that more widely accessible for those that aren't as academically inclined, as we said earlier. So this would provide a more holistic development and not just focus on academics. So we could provide more TVET opportunities not only to students but to those who are younger and looking for a job.
Logan?
I agree that we should make more readily available programs for things that are not necessarily academic related. As said before, I think that we should enhance programs regarding skill development and our future and things we're going to need to learn for future jobs.
Okay, Michael?
So I feel like there should be more scholarship and mentorship programs so that youth, as they grow older, if they decide to seek higher education or go straight into the working field, they may be well equipped and go out there looking very smart and sharp.
And finally, Atira.
Yes. I feel like counseling agencies, mental health is a big issue with young people, and social media worsens it. So by just adding, different facilities in schools, at home, so on, and addiction agencies, a lot of young people deal with addiction to drugs and alcohol and gaming and the internet and all that, So, yeah.
I would like to say thank you to Panel 1 for their insight and the input into the topic of investing in our children.
Our panelists from right to left is Abraham Walker, Sophia Franklin, Christian Campbell, and Maya Roy. All right, awesome. So we're gonna have similar questions, but you each are gonna get your own. You can answer either all as a group or some will be directed to you specifically. I'm sure you guys know what to do from here. So we'll jump right in. Our first question is the same as the first question from the last panel. What does the term investing in our youth mean to you? Abraham, you can start with this one.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Abraham Walker, and I think the term investing in our youth means to putting in the time and energy into the development of our younger generation, into creating a better future.
Nice. Sophia?
Yeah, I think that investing in our youth means paying attention to what they're saying and seeing how we can support the change that they're trying to make and how we can accept the change that they're trying to make.
Nice. Christian?
Well, to me, investing in our youth means to give up our assets to help build the most fundamental parts of our society, in my opinion.
I just want to quote like an old proverb that really like resonated with me with this question. Just that great societies happen when great men plant trees that they will never sit in their shade. So it's basically us investing effort and time, money, everything we can for things that we won't able to see come into fruition, I guess.
Nice. That's a great answer. So this one's for all of you guys again. You can jump in whenever you feel like answering. What kinds of intervention, investment, or like empowerment would you guys like to see, or do you think could help not only you specifically, but the youth in general reach their goals?
This one was repeated quite frequently in the last panel, but I really want to stress the importance of it. The implementation of vocational studies and TVET opportunities is very important in any society, especially when there's any society. It has barbers, it has a lot of different studies, and I think that is important that we can learn these.
Nice. Would anyone else like to jump in?
I really agree with that, and I also believe that although there's a lot of effort put into this already, I think sports and art and all the I guess academically inclined subjects should have a lot of effort put towards them, just because some students find their heart into things like painting and sports, which are what society lives for, you know? Like, we have our lawyers, we have our doctors, but people go out and people are happy to see art and they're happy to watch sport events, and I think that's really should be more recognized in Cayman.
Nice.
Yeah. Definitely more mentorship programs to bring out the youth and, teach them some more skills that you otherwise wouldn't learn in school.
Nice.
Yeah, I completely agree with what everyone said. Educating people in how the world is going and how it's progressing, and supporting what the youth has to say and how they go about saying that.
Nice. You wanted to add in something?
Yeah. I feel like also investing in like college fairs with like international colleges and like government scholarships to international colleges is one way we can improve our youth, because if we invest the time and the money now, we will reap the rewards later. Yes.
Nice. So what solutions would you guys have to the problem of inadequate investment in the future in young people? In other words, what would you propose to solve the issue of, like, let's say great men don't plant trees that they'll never see in the future? What would you propose to sort of prevent that? We could start with you this time.
Yeah, definitely having a system where, the younger generation can speak their thoughts and concerns about the situation, and someone to have their voice.
Nice. And we'll jump to Maya this time.
I think a really important thing to prevent future problems is that the government has so many initiatives that do help the youth currently, but it's how these initiatives are put out into society that people may not see them. They're not very readily accessible to many, and I think that maybe they should be more intertwined with curriculum, maybe like, some classes in schools, like in government schools, can, have a preparing for the future class, learning to lead. We have PSC at prep, so I think it should be more placed to the center of the youth's lives, like these initiatives that already exist, I think.
Nice.
Well, I think that being consistent is one of the most important when it comes to investing in our youth, because after we become the leaders of this society, there's going to be a younger generation, and we can't just neglect that because one generation is successful, the other one is going to be. So we just have to be consistent, because we have seen many societies where one generation they put a lot of investment into them, and the next generation cannot reap the same rewards. So I feel like being consistent is very important.
Nice. And Sophia, what about you? What do you think could prevent inadequate investment into the youth in the future?
I agree with a lot of what everyone said. I think supporting the younger voices, what they have to say. For example, a big problem on this island is mental health, and there's a lot of organizations that help with that, and keeping the youth involved with organizations that help these future problems, and sort of, getting the youth involved with a lot of important organizations.
Nice. I know I'd definitely like to see a lot around mental health, like a 24-hour hotline for suicide prevention and whatnot. The next question is, what can this country, specifically the adults in this country, do to support you and make you want to stay here? We can start with Christian.
Okay. I'd just like to start this off by saying adults can do something simple like joining a club, because as a member of a few clubs myself, like Boys to Men and Key Club and Flight Club, it would not be possible without the actual adults, the administrators, advising the club, right? So if we have adults within our club, we can have more clubs, and then once we have more clubs, that's more things for the youth to do and more positive opportunities for the youth to take up.
Awesome. Sophia, would you like to jump in?
Yeah. Going back to a lot of what I've said, adults can, it's a really simple thing, just listening to what the youth is saying. And I know I said this before a lot, but instead of dismissing the younger voices and what they have to say and how they can create change, supporting their journey into sort of changing what they want to change. We all want to make a difference in the world somehow, and whether we all have the power somehow to do that. And if adults can support those younger voices as much as they can throughout their journeys, it can help us create the change that we want to go ahead and change.
Nice. Abraham, would you like to?
I would say to bring people out more outside, really get them to come out as a community, and just little activities that you can do to bring people together.
Community involvement is a nice one. And Maya, finishing off with you.
I'm quite literally just going to repeat what a lot has been said here, but I do really agree that listening is one of the key, most notable factors in what the adults could do more to support the youth, just because I think a lot of the time it's easy to dismiss, especially younger people, because they don't have perhaps the wisdom that adult people may have. But the thing that the youth do have are new perspectives, and I think new perspectives are really, really necessary to create a better life for the future. So yeah.
Nice. So this next question is directed towards Sophia and Abraham. You guys can decide who goes first on this one. This one talks about access to green spaces and beaches, so those type of areas. So studies have shown that having good access to these can reduce stress and mitigate a bunch of problems in the youth's lives. Do you feel that there is an issue with lack of access to these spaces, or do you feel as if there is more than enough access to these places? If so, why or why not? And anything else you want to add in there, you could throw.
I think, there's a lot of access to beaches on, obviously we're an island, but there's a lot of beaches everywhere, and as you said, it's a big contributor to, it has mental health benefits. And I think everyone having access to these places is important, especially for the youth, because there's a lot of, they need a way to connect. We all need a way to connect. It's a big part of being a teenager, to have a social life. You need a balance. And I think that these places it's really good to have these beaches that are accessible for basically everyone. And studies show that teens with a strong social network are less likely to experience high levels of depression and anxiety. And as long as we have these places where they can connect, the better it'll be.
Got it. And what about you, Abraham?
I do believe having these spaces is a good thing, but when it comes to the lack of access, I believe it becomes a good thing where it is, to have somewhat of a control over the freedom that they have, for it to be monitored. Because when it's out of hand, it can, become detrimental to our development.
Okay. All right, so our next question is on sustainable development, which has been a very hot topic over the last couple of years. Anyone who's been on this island for a while knows, especially the rapid commercialization during the 50s, 60s, and 70s, for example. Some people are saying that we might be seeing a resurgence of that today. But my question for the panel is the debate towards sustainable and overdevelopment. The development that we're currently seeing, is this an investment in the future of our youth? And if not, what would you like to see as an alternative? And if it is, go on and open up about it.
All right, this might be a strong view, but I feel like the development of such large hotels and these large resorts right on the beachfront is tearing up our beautiful coastline. And I feel like if we want to actual sustainable development and we want to actually invest in this generation, I feel like it's important for the government to start from now. It's a little too late now because the Mar is already built. All these hotels are already built. But I feel like having restrictions on where, how far away they should build and like what they can do, like where they should build resorts is one way to sustain our beautiful island. And yeah.
So you would advocate for maybe like a development plan then?
Yeah.
Okay, and what about you, Maya?
I want to link to the idea of hotels as well, but also coming back into what we were talking about in the last panel about the housing. I think we're putting a lot of effort into hotels and these things where Caymanians don't live. These don't benefit us in the future. I think that this development that we're creating here, we're developing our tourism industry, which is really good, undoubtedly, but I think that we also need to develop the housing industry. This development isn't, it's not really aiding us in any way. And I feel like along with what you said, just with the environment as well, and with the quote that I said earlier about planting trees, I think that the environment, the only people that, how we treat the environment now, the only people who that's going to affect is us. And I think that's a very scary thought to think of, and I just wish maybe the government would put more mind into that.
Well, they're watching now, so
look
in the camera. She told you. This next question is directed towards Sophia and Abraham again, and this one's going to be centered around schools. So schools provide everyone with an opportunity to learn and grow. And in schools, what investments can you guys identify that you would like to be promoted more, or that you would like to be put in there to promote better learning and better outcomes for the youth in general? And if you have anything specific, we'd love to hear it. Go ahead.
I don't have any specific ones on mind right now, but I think a big thing that we need to implement in schools everywhere is making learning more focused on where the future is going versus where it was. Not like, obviously we want to learn about history, but like not learning how to learn and how to adapt to new situations, because especially with like AI and technology developing, we need to keep up. And it's like, I know that's all we hear about now, but learning how we can also technologically advance and look, and basically how we can learn to where the future is going and how we can adapt ourselves and learn to learn.
Exactly. Prepare our children for tomorrow, not today.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Abraham?
I agree as well. Learn to learn. For the ideas, I would say like a study skills class, like teaching people how to study properly, take notes good, and planning and organizing their time. I also believe like there should be a designated tutor for children that are struggling in classes. Yeah.
That's great. I totally agree. I know I had a hard time learning to struggle in high school, There's a man in the audience who helped me with that. But we'll move on to the next question. So this is one of the last questions, and it's a bit of a doozy, but it's directed towards you guys again. So a melting pot of cultures, social cohesion. It's an important factor for developing as children develop and go throughout life, and also in the development of our communities, making sure they're strong, making sure they're safe, making sure they're well integrated, you know? So it can look like a number of things. It can look like intergenerational play and learning. It can look like a bunch of interaction between different cultural communities. So like, let's say between kids that would normally go to CIS versus kids that normally go to John Gray, integrating in those aspects of life as well. So what investments do you guys believe would be good for promoting this social cohesion in Cayman? I really like this question.
Good. Well, for the social cohesion, it means when we have more social cohesion, we have more social capital. And one ways that we can improve social capitals are ways that has been said over and over and over throughout this discussion and throughout this one's youth come up as a topic overall. That is having more clubs around the island, clubs among schools. Like for example, Key Club, we're a club that is all among schools. That's even in intra-regional. We can also say that. Let me say it one more time because we've been saying it a lot. Sports is what builds face-to-face interactions. It builds leisure. One saying is that the devil finds work for idle hands. If kids are in sports and clubs and all of that, they can't find time to do all the bad stuff. So I feel like that's one way.
Nice. And what about you, Maya?
I think socially we all have to recognize that one of Cayman's biggest advantages that we have, and one of our greatest features, is how culturally intertwined we all are. We have so many cultures in this island, and I just feel like socially we need to recognize more that Cayman is a small place, and we need to realize how big this world is, and the way that we understand how large this world is through intertwining cultures. I mean, Camana Bay now you're not able to go unless you're under 18. This is really unfortunate because not only is it a place where you can meet tons of people, it's not very segregated in any sort of way, and also it's safe. They've got security guards. Your parents can go get food while you go hang out, and unfortunately those places have now closed down for the youth, making it really even harder to interact with people who don't really go to your school. And so, as you said, the arts, sports, 100% are places where people meet other people, and you already have a basis. You've got a shared common interest, and that's all you need to start a friendship, and that's all you need to intertwine. So yeah, that's it.
Nice. So that was a great answer. I just wanted to throw a little bone back into the discussion. You guys can answer this one as well. If you had one idea in mind to promote more social cohesion between the public and private schools, because I know that has been an issue that many of the youth of our island are feeling, what would you say to that? And if you don't have anything specific idea-wise, what would you say to the people in these schools?
Yeah, can you repeat?
All right, so what would you have as an idea to promote social cohesion between the public and private schools? And if you don't have an answer for that, what would you say to the people in these public and private schools to promote social cohesion?
I feel like, especially coming from private school, that it seems like you only seem to interact with students that come from government schools when they join sixth form, right? Because like you're 12 and you're 13, which is really unfortunate. And I believe that private schools do a lot of work with other private schools. I know Prep and St. Ignatius do a lot of work together. Prep CIS and St. Ignatius do a lot of work together. But I don't see any reason why government schools can't come into that, or why, Prep and other private schools can't come into like activities done by government schools. I mean, sharing different activities. I remember I'm deputy head girl of Cayman Prep, and I put forward a activity to the school, just thinking if we had a community service day where we can all come out, different year groups come out and do beach cleanups or like environmental awareness things. And I think it would be a great idea for, across the schools, we can all come together maybe for a day and just work together to help our islands. So yeah.
Nice. You want to say something too?
Yeah, I also think that I'm agreeing with her, just being for example, careers fairs, Clifton Hunter has a careers fair and John Gray has one. maybe private schools and John Gray could come together and then host it. John Gray could host it, and then other private schools could go. Then you'd see new faces. It just takes one interaction to make a new friend, and that causes more social cohesion.
Nice. And what about you guys? Do you have anything to add on it, or are you ready to move on?
I don't have any like specific things, but I completely agree with what you're saying. Like different programs, more integration between the different schools. Yeah.
I agree as well. Hosting events at different schools as well can help with social interactions and cohesion.
Nice. All right, so back to the prescribed questions. This one's a simple one, and you guys can all answer it. If you had access to an expert life coach or something of that nature, what is one question you'd ask them? The first thing. Anyone? Maya again.
How do we prepare for jobs that don't even exist yet? You know, like a lot of AI and this new modern technology, you have no idea what the future is going to be like. What do you even study to work with AI? I mean, so I think the future has more possibilities than it ever has before, and I think it's really hard to predict it nowadays. So yeah.
Nice. And you want to go?
To be honest, I would ask my life coach, is the job that I'm pursuing still gonna be around in a couple years? I want to be a software developer, but by next year they could say that they have an AI that already writes code for us. So I just wanna. That's just a question I would ask.
Yeah. And what about you guys?
The characteristics that would push you towards success.
Nice. That's a very good answer. Question to ask the life coach. What about you, Sophia?
I think just how to go about bringing all these people together to create one big change. Because, I mean, there's so many answers, but, like, what's the best way to do so? Kind of linking to the question that you asked.
Nice. All right, so this is one of the last questions, and it's open to everyone yet again. So what government or public sector agencies or resources would you guys say need to be more readily available to support the development and success of youth? So what do we have that you guys would say needs to be more available? We'll start with Abraham this time.
I would say different training programs, like in different fields. Definitely art, because it is a skill, and you can, learn and develop it. And I would say also more TVET skills, electrical, plumbing.
Nice.
I think a lot of like counseling and ways in like tutoring and everything isn't affordable and accessible for everyone, and I think that should be affordable and accessible for everyone to help solve a lot of problems like mental health, and also accommodating to all the different ways that people learn.
Nice. What about this side of the table? You guys want to pitch in?
I feel like governments could have more, just more like assets, like ways to, like new basketball courts to build in neighborhoods, because I see where it is being built, and I see where the government is making an effort and building them, but in some places there's still not a basketball court or like a football field nearby. I feel like also, just advice, like just having people in every school, like a career advisor, to give students, because often a lot of students, they might be very academically smart, but they know nothing about the real world. They don't know what comes next. They just know I'm just getting 90s on my test. They don't know what how to get a job and things like that.
Nice.
This has been said before as well, but the vocational training really resonates with me, just because I think it's really easy for everyone to just assume, oh, you finish high school, you go to university, and then you get a job. But for some people, that just simply won't work for them, and that isn't doing what their higher purpose is. They should maybe go into more construction-related fields, art, sports, all of that. So I feel like the government could push forward more of the vocational training aspects of things, and subjects like study skills. At prep we have study skills, and I think it should be more like widely implemented course, just because some kids are extremely smart, you just don't know how to study, and studying is a skill, and I think it's such a loss that some people can may not know how to study and then might not do as well in school, even though they could.
Thank you.
Is your one?
Sure, go ahead.
I feel like also like she said, when she said that some people might be smart and they don't know how to study. A lot of children, I don't think any child is born dumb. I feel like they're just the education system doesn't necessarily facilitate the way that they learn, and I feel like if governments can, if just teachers can find more ways to teach, like showing videos, explaining it, having certain people read it, I feel like having it personalized to each student, then we'd have a lot more skilled workers in our society, and that helps our future.
That's great. All right, I have one last question for you all, and it's a simple one. It only requires one sentence. You have one thing to say to the wider community and your government, or ask. Go ahead and say or ask it. Abraham, we'll start with you again.
I don't really have any questions per se.
Is there anything you'd like to let the public know while you're on TV?
Definitely, for the adults as well, definitely push your children to go outside more. Physical stimulus promotes mental creativity and mental activity, so definitely push them to go outside, exercise a little bit. Yeah.
Nice. Anyone else?
To the younger generations, what you want to create positive change for, say what you want to say, and for the adults, listen to what they're saying, because that's one of the most important things, is listening to what they have to say.
I would say just go outside, join a club, just find something to do within the community, because just doing that can contribute a lot.
I would say that you can do anything you put your mind to, and only just practicing and doing it every day is the hard part, but you can do anything you want to, and don't ever let anyone limit that for you, I think.
Nice. Reminds me of what my dad said. You can choose two pains to suffer through in life: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Yeah, you got your quotes down. All right, and with that is concluding for panel 2. I'd like you guys to help me in thanking the panelists for coming. It was a great discussion, and I loved what you all had to say. And with that, I'd like to welcome Miss Burke back to the panel stage.
I think we're all in awe. I'm in awe. We had so much valuable input today. This team panel, the parents, the supporters and organizations that are here, we already created such a safe space for students to speak, and I'm amazed by the ideas and the feedback we've gotten today. So this 2023 Child Month panel, both of them, I think Chad, we're grateful to have them here.
Yeah, and as the youth ambassadors for Cayman, we encourage you to keep on having these discussions, even if it's not on TV, with the people in your community, with your parents, with your mentors, with your teachers. Keep continuing to reach out and be more involved in the island, because as you guys know, like, you are the future of this place, and whatever you want to happen, if you put your dedication and you put your heart and you put everything you have into it, it will come to fruition. And this is a great way to start by coming here, and I'd like to thank you all again.
I think while we all sit and think about some of the stuff that are said, I would like to now hand over to our Child Month Director, Ms. Genevieve Tomlinson, who will deliver the closing remarks.
As a department, we continue to listen, because it's out of listening that we are learning what our youths are saying to us as a society. On behalf of Department of Children and Family Services, I would like to thank all the participants and our 2 moderators who did a wonderful job to lead the whole discussion on investing in our children means investing in our future. And I am so thankful for that theme that we had decided on, because when we were doing the research, we also saw the quadruped theory that speaks to happiness, unless there is the mental, the physical, the spiritual, and the financial component that makes for a holistic happiness for any individual. And as I listened to the panelists, those factors came out. And I was pleased in every aspect of it because I was counting down and listening keenly to see if the panelists captured the component that they say is make for happiness in our society and in an individual. So guess what? You all did wonderfully. And I really am thankful for the effort that was put into it. We are so thankful for the partnership with Youth Services and the work that was done to source the panels, all the panelists, and the every effort that was made to bring this up. And I am also sure that our government will be happy again to look at this, to listen, to hear what the voice of our young people are saying, and how you see the future unfolding going forward. And parents, continue to do the wonderful job, and teachers, because we heard it coming out of our youth that they are indeed the future. So let us continue to invest in our children because we have a future to gain. So blessings to you all, and thank you for participating in this event. God bless you all.